Texas has some of the most congested highways in the United States. The reason for this? Well, everyone's been moving to the state of Texas. With the increase in population came the increase in registered cars. But highway capacity has not kept up with this increase in registered cars. What's going on, everyone? My name is CoolTitanium68, and in today's automotive video, we're going to be discussing the Texas Clear Lanes Initiative. Now, back in 2014, Governor Greg Abbott challenged both the Texas Transportation Commission and the Texas Department of Transportation to identify and address the state's most congested roads in the state to get new roads built swiftly and effectively. This initiative was split into 5 regions that at the time, consisted of 14 projects. The 5 areas were Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, San Antonio, and Houston. Now, the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area at the time was considered the 11th most congested in the United States, and in Texas, the only metro area above DFW in terms of congestion is the Houston metro area. 5 projects at that time would garner funding in the DFW area, 2 of which were in the Dallas district and 3 of which were in the Fort Worth district. Now you might ask yourself, what about the rest of Texas, like Amarillo, Lubbock, or El Paso, among other places? And if you guys really do your research, you'll find out that 86% of Texas' population lives on or east of I-35 back in 2015. Now, as it comes to the 2020 census, that figure jumped to 87%. Now, as we take a look at the most recent update, which actually came out in March of 2024, this is kind of where we're at. So, overview of kind of the Texas Clear Lanes Initiative from 2023. In between the Austin, DFW, Houston, and San Antonio metro areas, this accounts for 68% of the state's population, so more than 2/3 of that, 70% of the state's employment, 89% of our state's GDP, which is somewhat good. The downsides of this includes $17 billion of annual cost of congestion and over 652 million annual hours of delay collectively. Now, in the state of Texas, in general, 1 in 10 Fortune 500 companies are located within the 5 metro areas, one more than California now. And going into 2050, again, Texas has the second largest economy in the U.S., and by 2050, in the 4 metro areas, population is projected to increase by 70%, and freight tonnage and employment is expected to double. Now, as we look at the overview, so you can see there are now, as last year, because I wrote this last year too, so this is why I was looking at that. We had 100 projects accounting for $64 billion. This is 43 that were partially funded, 17 were fully funded, 26 are under construction, and 14 were completed. Now, in 2024, this has increased. So we have 122 projects that account for $75 billion of funding. 49 are partially funded now. 29 are now fully funded in the Unified Transportation Plan. 25 are under construction, and 19 have been completed since. So there have been 5 new projects that have been completed, and I would bet that some of these projects have done stuff. But I digress. In 2024, we have 19 projects that have been completed that were funded that used $2.6 billion of funding. There are 25 projects that account for $11.9 billion that have been funded that will account for about $13.2 billion worth of projects. 29 projects account for about $17.6 billion funded throughout the whole thing. And then currently, about 14.6 of that is fully funded with about a $900 million funding gap. And then there are 49 projects accounting for $41.8 billion of planned investments, where $3.5 billion of it's been funded, but there's still an over almost $31 billion in funding. So what this kind of shows is cost for projects fully funded under the UTP, which is in blue, and partially funded projects, which is in purple. These are all known costs, and they're current as of January. In here, there are pretty much 5 big projects that have been going on in each thing. So in Fort Worth, they just constructed a 6-lane highway, basically from the 9 Mile Bridge, which is in Fort Worth. So if I were to scroll over here, I don't think I'm far enough down yet. So, and west. So this is the 9-mile bridge, and they brought it all the way to Western Center, which I believe is somewhere in Azle, if not right around here. But that project accounted for about $64 million and has already been completed. Whereas in Dallas, they're still working on the Irving interchange, which if those of y'all that don't know where that is, this is the interchange for Loop 12, 114, and State Highway 183. So this whole interchange right here has been under construction for several years, and well, again, as of March of 2024, when they made this out, was still under construction. Now in Austin, there has been a project basically rebuilding portions of I-35 that have been completed. Another completed project in San Antonio was phase 1 and 2 of US 281 between 1604 and Comal County to the Comal County line, where they reconstruction and widened to a 6-lane expressway with 2 HOV lanes. That's been done. And then I-45 between NASA to FM 518, they widened it to 10 lanes with 3 continuous frontage roads and access to HOV lanes, which has been completed. And these are some of the most prominent projects in these districts. Again, there are I believe there's about like 15 or 16 districts. So very northern portions of DFW is either the Paris district, which is usually going to be where 75 is on. Then I-35 is going to be the Wichita Falls district. Now, as we go along, I mean, this is some of the Austin district stuff. The 5 projects that they did complete was the rebuild of I-35, like kind of north of downtown. There's a traffic management system upgrade through most of here as well. Another portion of I-35 down near downtown Austin was redone. 183 US 183 leading off of I-35 was redone. Another portion of I-30, again, this interchange here on I-35 was finished. Number 6 is going to be north of 183, from US 290 to Rudenberg Lane. So this is just before that interchange. Another one is I-30 is this section up here, leading up farther north into Pflugerville and Round Rock. That one's been completed. And then there are 4 projects that are under construction. So here you've got the 289 State Highway 71, which is being rebuilt. Then you've got State Loop 360 that's under construction, and then you've got 2 Capital Express projects that are in the works. You've got Capital South, which is from 290 west down here up to State Highway 455, and then you've got State Highway 45 to 290 east. And then of course there are some projects that are funded. So then the Capital Express project, pretty much through Central Austin, is fully funded. I don't think has started construction yet. There are 3 portions of State Loop 360 that are in the works. And then there's the I-35 Wilco project and US 79 that goes east. And then there are still some projects that are in the planning stages. So the other portion of State Loop 360, basically coming south of Westlake Hills, from State Loop 1 to RM 2244. And then you've got a good portion of Road 620, pretty much going around the very outer portion of there. And then you've got 290 West going out. And you've got RM 620 North at this interchange. Now, to take a look at the Dallas district, there are 2 projects that have been completed under the Texas Clearing Lanes Initiative. And this is the 35 East Lois Stemmons. So this is basically like the bridge rebuilds and the reutilization of I-35 between the Dallas North Tollway exit and entrance and the start of the Horseshoe interchange, as well as the Southern Gateway, which basically takes it from down there. Basically takes I-35 from downtown Dallas, going all the way down to 67, and then taking 67 to I-20. Some of these other projects that are being built is LBJ East, which we did talk about. That's the I-635 East project. Number 4 is the Irving interchanges. This is the rebuilds of Loop 12, 114, and 183, so also 482. Number 6 is 35 East Phase 2, where they're widening it to 8 lanes, and I would believe they're going to probably start to move some of the lanes farther out so that there may be a possible second pair of express lanes going northward. I would bet that's what's going to happen in the next phase. Next up is 7A and B, which are going to be the rebuilds of Main Street in Louisville, at least the I-35 Main Street interchange. And then 7A is the I-35 FM 455 interchange in North Sanger. Number 8 is supposed to be, is actually the one that's currently in the works. So this is US 80 between the Dallas Kaufman County line leading up to Farm to Market 460. And then in Rockwall County, you've got the I-30 rebuild projects basically from, Rowlett, which is just before the lake, going all the way over the lake and going up through the Rockwall County line. And then some other projects that are funded just haven't started construction yet. And I would believe that they're not going to start construction. I think they're ready. The let dates are within the next year or two, are going to be another portion of the Denton County connections, which is going to be the rebuild of 35, basically from the split in Denton northward all the way to the Cook County line, because north of the Cook County line, they're already rebuilding that portion. Then you've got the I-30 Canyon project, which is I-30 between I-35 and I-45. And then you've got the US 80 East corridor, which is going to start right at the I-30 US 80 interchange and take you all the way to the Dallas Kaufman County line. Now, some of the projects that are in the future are going to be the I-30 East corridor. So this one's still in the planning stages. So I know they just had their meetings like earlier this year. So from I-45 to 635, they've already had their meetings for that. It's still within the planning stages. Another one is going to be Spur 399. So this is going to be pretty much like the quote unquote extension of Sam Rayburn Tollway, basically following, and I can kind of show y'all here. So what this is going to do is it's going to follow Highway 5 coming up here, and then it's going to come around, and it's going to follow Harry McKillop Boulevard all the way south, and then it's going to go all the way farther out, and then come north right around here at New Hope Road. This is why it's such a big deal, because recently, and I'll talk about this in a future video for our aviation stuff, but this section of undeveloped land has actually been rezoned for McKinney National so that they could build a new terminal over here. And again, some of the other ones are going to be the multiple different sections of the 380 project in and around Collin County. So 2A is 2A Spur 399. 2B1 is going to be from Coit Road to Farm to Market 1827. So if those of y'all are questioning what FM 1827 is, that is Custer Road up here, if I'm correct. I believe that's 1827. Let me double check. 1827 in McKinney. Okay, so that's New Hope Road. Okay. Oh, that's why. Okay. So 2B1 is supposed to be in 2B2 are going to be basically the McKinney rebuild. It's going to be the McKinney bypass loop, at least the northern bypass loop for 380. 2B1 is the frontage roads, 2B2 is the main lanes, but this is going to start all the way at New Hope Road, which is where they'll meet back up with Spur 399. And then 2C is going to be Princeton, which is going to go all the way to County Road 560, which for that's actually going to go all the way over. So what they'll do in Princeton is they'll branch off right around here. They'll go around the main portion of Princeton, and then it'll start with the road, and it's going to end right around here. Actually, yeah, this is 560, so this is where it'll end. And then 2D is going to be the Farmersville Loop, so that will be a southern bypass route of 380 as it makes its way to the Hunt County line. Again, we'll talk more about 380 in future videos because that is a much bigger project in general. And then the third portion is going to be I-30 operational improvements. So this is pretty much going to be east of 635 leading up to the new section that they're working on just before the bridge. And then number 4 is going to be operational improvements at the High 5 interchange, which that's fair. it still does get back. It does still get backed up. I don't know what they'll do, but we'll see. Number 5 is going to be Lower Stemmons. So I would believe that this might actually be the eventual full expansion of I-35, basically in downtown Dallas, going all the way to 183 here. So I would not be surprised if they add some more lanes on 35 East here. I wouldn't even be surprised if they just extend the toll lanes southward to downtown Dallas. I wouldn't not surprised by that. But then the other one is going to be the Loop 12 I-30 interchange. I mean, that you could see why. This is the reason why it's kind of like this was because, again, back in the 50s and 60s, back through the 50s and 60s, there was a toll. This was a toll lane. Well, yeah, I-30 was a toll road. So they had a toll bridge right here. So I think what they'll probably do is the same thing that they did with I-30 and 360. They tore out the old road here. I mean, they still kept Six Flags Drive and they extended it up here to Avenue H. But they turned it into a stacked interchange. And honestly, it doesn't really matter if they make it a stacked interchange or not because, I mean, yeah, they have the space, but they have to be careful of these apartments and all of these metalwork stuff here. But they have the space because this is all pretty much like forest area. There's nothing here. So they could easily just build some around here and better connecting that here and tearing this out possibly for future-ish developments. We'll see. The next thing was going to be State Highway 183 Ultimate, which is kind of already like under construction to a point because I think I know what they're doing is they're adding at least another set of toll lanes, but I don't think that's a part of the Clear Lanes project, if I'm mistaken. Number 8 is supposed to be the 35 West corridor. That's actually been in the planning phases to some extent since 2017. I mean, at least that was the last time that they discussed this project was back in 2017. They haven't said anything recently. But that would basically start right at Fort Worth Alliance, take it all the way up to the 35 East-West interchange. And then number 10 is supposed to be I-30 East Phase 2, which is just the rebuild of Rockwall County of I-30 in and around Rockwall and Roy City in Rockwall County. Now in the San Antonio district, they've had a decent amount of projects that have been done. And you've got 410, which is going to be right over here at US 90. So this whole thing's been redone. I-10 East has been redone. And that looks like a really weird picture here. And then you've got 281 Phase 1 that's been completed, as well as Phase 2, which is actually number 6. You've also got 1604 Northeast that's been rebuilt, and I-410 that's been rebuilt, which is this one here. And then, of course, they've got a bunch of they've got like 6 projects that they're currently working on here, and they've got 5 that are funded, but that are fully funded, and then another 9 that are not done yet. Now, for the Fort Worth district, there are 3 projects that have been completed within the city of Dallas. Well, within the Fort Worth district. It's not DFW, but within that. And it kind of looks more like just Tarrant County in general. So number 1 is going to be the State Highway 121 interchange, basically from 114 to Holt Johnson Road. They rebuilt that interchange with 360. Number 2 is State Highway 199 between Western Center and 9 Miles Bridge. So this is the one thing that they've been completed, and they're currently working on the portion from 9 Miles Bridge going into. So this is where the 9 Miles Bridge is, right around here, and they're pretty much redoing everything up to just after the Lake Worth Bridge. And as I've talked about in the 820 Northwest video, they're currently exploring this portion here, which is not in the Fort Worth district plans. I would bet that in the 2025 update they're going to have this out, but we'll see. But I digress. The other completed project is actually the DFW connector. So this was the rebuild of both 121 and 635 from the Dallas County line to the Cotton Belt Railroad. And what this did is mainly it rebuilt the 635 121 interchange and also some of the connecting stuff down to DFW airports. Now, a lot of these projects we had already talked about that are under construction. So number one is the A20 East connector. So this is basically from Pipeline Road to Randall Mill in Northeast Fort Worth. And then you've got 5 and 5A, which is the Southeast connector. So number 5 is basically just 820 and I-20 here. And then 5A is going to be that northern extension. 7B is one that is funded, but it looks like it's not started construction yet. I-30 from Lincrest to Interstate 820, that actually has started construction, but again, when this came out in March, it hadn't. So got all that done. And then these are the 5 projects that are partially funded. So the first one is basic. The first and second one are basically like the expansions of the North Tarrant Express from I-30 going all the way up to US 287 interchange. Then the third one is actually the expansion of I-35 West southward from I-20 up to the Johnson-Tarrant County line just before the interchange here. And then number 4 is basically going to be from Cooper Street. Is basically just the rebuild from Cooper Street all the way to I-35 west of I-30. And then the last portion of the Southeast connector in Arlington is one of those that's in the future. Now, some of the other things, again, this kind of talks about the Southeast connector. You got 16 miles of urban freeway in Tarrant County. It's a $2 billion project. The base scope was pretty much what's already under construction right now. And then you've got deferred work component 1 that's under construction. This one is fully funded. And then work component 3 will be done later. Now, again, construction began in March 2023 with substantial completion of the base scope anticipated by early 2028. And deferment number 1 was added, so it's going to take a little bit of time for that to be done. And then you've got the Houston project, which hasn't really had a lot of stuff that's been done. But that's also because Houston now is starting to see a lot of projects that need to be completed. Number 1 was I-45 from NASA to FM 518 down here. Then you've got a portion of I-10 at US 90 that's been rebuilt. And you've got I-69 and I-610 that's being rebuilt. I-610 at State Highway 288 that's being rebuilt. I-40, another southern portion of I-45 that's being rebuilt, and a portion of State Highway 35 that's being rebuilt. And then you have a ton of projects along I-10 through Houston that are looking to be rebuilt. There's also a portion of 288. Like, you can tell there's a lot of projects that are in the work that are funded but haven't started yet. And then just looking at all of these projects, this is a big, like, $6 billion corridor right here that's being built, that's looking to being built. And then I believe 15, that's a new highway that's being built. But there's a lot of stuff that's going on in Houston because, like DFW, Houston's at the point where their road infrastructure is much older and, like, is starting to show its age, and they need to expand it. Especially since pretty much now, like, DFW is kind of the workhorse of DFW. But as the Texas Clean Lanes Initiative has kind of shown to pay for a lot of this stuff within DFW, there's a lot of stuff that's going to be going on within that. And it's going to be interesting to see when these new updates come around. I mean, this current one came out in March 27th, so we might see this next one again around late March. Now, if we were just take a look at DFW itself, there's a total of 31 completed, funded, future, and current projects. The Austin metro area has about 22. 5 are completed, 6 are under construction, 2 are funded and earmarked, and 9 are future. Houston has a total of 23. 5 are under construction, 2 are funded and earmarked for development, and 7 future projects. But no, that's not correct. That's my bad. They haven't. No, Houston actually has a lot more. So Houston actually has 1 completed, 5 under construction, a total of 12 fully funded, and a total of 15 corridors that are in future. And then in San Antonio, which I believe, let's go up farther north, we have 6 projects that are completed, another 6 that are under construction, 5 that are funded, and 9 corridors that are future. Now, with the 2024 Uniform Transportation Plan being announced back in August, the Texas Department of Transportation receives a significant increase in funding for new, current, and future highway projects. With the DOT planning on spending somewhere around $100 billion over the next 10 years, this has also brought a significant increase in available funding for the Clear Lanes Initiative from $5 billion to $6 billion. And with that, we're going to end the video here, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video over the Texas Clear Lanes Initiative. If you liked what you just saw, hit that like button as well as that subscribe button. If you want to see more content like this, whether it's more of our automotive content or as well other stuff like our mountain bike content and our aviation content, make sure you guys hit that bell icon so you don't miss any future videos, and you'll be notified when these videos drop at 8 a.m. Lastly, leave a comment down below talking about what else we should take a look at. I don't know if I'm going to start taking a look outside of the DFW area just yet, but I will say within the next next couple of years, as I talk more, as I've pretty much completed a lot more of these highway videos, we will start to probably take a look at some of these other highways within the state of Texas. But with that, hope you guys have a good day. Peace.